Hello and welcome. I'm Dave. Today we will learn about Python sets and dictionaries, and I'll provide links to all resources in the description below. I've got Visual Studio Code open, and I've got a new folder over here in the file tree for Lesson 7. Let's create a new file, and let's call this Dictionaries. Then after that, we'll end it with a .py, .py. And then let's open a terminal window with Control and the backtick. And you can see mine opens here at the bottom, but I'm going to choose View and then go to Appearance, go to Panel Position and choose Right. So it's over here on the right. Finally, I'm going to press Control B to hide the file tree. So we have our code here on the left taking up all of that part of the screen. And on the right is where we have our terminal window. Today we're talking about Python dictionaries. So I'll just put dictionaries here at the top. And really, dictionaries are used to store data values that are in key value pairs. And you'll see what I mean. And just like when I accidentally called Python lists arrays a few times, Python dictionaries look a lot like JavaScript objects. And so I may accidentally refer to them as objects when I'm talking, but if I do, it's unintentional because we're talking about Python dictionaries. So let's look at an example. I'll set band equal to a dictionary. Now they have curly braces, and here's the key. I'll say vocals, and then I put a colon, and after that I put the value. So I'll say plant. Now I'll put another key, and here I'll say guitar, and then I'll put the value, and I'll say page. So that is a Python dictionary. And of course, you could have more key value pairs. It's not limited to 2. You could make a large one if you want to as well. And it can be different data types. It doesn't just have to be a string as the value. Now here I typed out this dictionary. Let me create a second dictionary that has the same values, but I'm going to use the constructor function for a dictionary. So I'll call this band2, and I'll set this equal to the constructor function, which is dict, then use parentheses, and then I'll say vocals equals. Then I'll put in plant. After that, a comma, and I can say guitar equals, and I'll put in page. Now we'll be able to see that both of these create essentially the same structure for a dictionary here. So I'll print band, and then I'm going to use Shift Alt and the down arrow to copy that line down, and then just print band2. Well, I've typed in 3 a couple of times. Band2 is what I want. There we go. Control S to save. We'll run our code here. And oh, I got an error. Python was not found. Let's first run it using run Python file the first time. There we go. After that, we should be able to click play. So we've got the same structure here. Here is our first dictionary, band, and just below it is band2. They look the same. You can create dictionaries in either way. We can also check the type. So I'll say print, use type, I'll pass in band. Now I'm going to use Shift Alt and the down arrow one more time. And here, instead of type, I'm going to use the length function once again, because we can also check the length of a dictionary. So now when I run this, we see the type as well, and we see the length. So it's saying it has 2 key value pairs inside of the dictionary. I'm going to scroll for just a little room, and now I'll put another comment because I want to talk about how we access items in a dictionary. There's a couple of ways to do it, and I'm going to use a print statement so we can see the output. But we refer to the dictionary, such as band, and then we can use brackets, and then we can name the key, and the output will be the value. The other way we can do this, and I'm going to copy this down again with Shift Alt and the down arrow, but is to use band.get. And that is a method that we can call on dictionaries, and then we pass in the key once again. So I'll pass in the key guitar here. That's going to return the value that is paired with guitar. So Control S to save, run our code, and you can see we get plant from our first print line, and we get page from our second. And those are the values that are aligned with those keys in our band dictionary. Now, what if we want to list all the keys? So let me put in another comment, and I'll just say list all keys. Here, I would say print, and then band, and then dot keys. And then I'll save, and we'll run the code, and let's see what we get. So here, we get a list of dictionary keys. So we get vocals and guitar. Likewise, we might want to list all values. So I'll say list all values here in the comment. Then print, and as you might guess, it's band.values, and we can run that code. And now you can see we get a list of the dictionary values, plant, and page. We can also return the key value pairs as tuples. And so here I'll say list of key value pairs as tuples. And now I'm going to say print, and then I'll just say band.items. And let's run this code again, and you'll see what I mean when we get the output over here. It's the dictionary items. Now inside of this list, each item is a tuple. So you see vocals, plant, and then you see another tuple that says guitar, page. Now just because these are wrapping down and it looks a little strange, I'm going to see if I can drag this window over a little, and it might make our console a little easier to read because I'm not going to usually need to type past about this width. Okay, so our dictionary items wrapped down, but the keys and values, for example, did not. So this is just a little easier to read here. Now, one more thing we might need to do is verify if a key exists in a dictionary. So that's what I'll put here. Verify a key exists. And now we'll say print, and we can just see if guitar is in band. Now let me do another one. So I'll shift Alt and the down arrow again. And instead of guitar, I'll look for triangle. Maybe I should have looked for cowbell. Let's run this. Let's see what we get. So first, guitar in band is true, but triangle in band is false. Let's scroll for some more room again, and we'll look at how we can change values in a dictionary. So I'll put change values here in my comment, and after this, I'm going to say band, and then I'm going to specify the vocals key. So I'm using brackets and then the key once again, and I'll set this equal to Coverdale. Now that would set the key value pair to vocals Coverdale instead of vocals plant. So the value for the key vocals has changed once I do that. Now, something else you can do is use band and call the update method. But now we need to pass in curly braces, and we need to give the key as well. Now we could update vocals or guitar here, but we can also create a new key value pair. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'll make this bass, and then I'll pass in the value JPJ. And then if we check our band afterwards, we should see we have changed vocals to Coverdale, and we should have added a new key value pair as well that says bass and JPJ. So let's run this code and see what we get. Here is our dictionary. Now it has vocals Coverdale, guitar page, bass, JPJ. Now what about removing items? So I'll comment that as well. Remove items. So we'll print, and then I'm going to look at band.pop. Now the reason I'm printing is because pop will return a value. It will return what we remove from the dictionary. So here I'm going to say bass. And so we'll see what gets returned or what gets output here from the print by doing band.pop bass. And so after that, I need to go ahead and print band one more time, and let's run this. And you can see we don't get a tuple or the full key value pair. Pop does return the value though of what was removed, because then we print band afterwards and we see it no longer has bass JPJ in the dictionary. That key value pair has been removed, but pop only returns the value. Now I'm going to add a new value like we learned before. So I'll say band, use bracket pairs here, and add drums. I'm going to set this equal to Bonham, and after I do that, I'll go ahead and print the band again just so we can see that the new value has been added. But now we'll also print, and then we'll say band.pop item. If I spell item correctly, what pop item does is it removes the last thing that was added, the last key value pair that was added to the dictionary. But what we will see is this is going to return a tuple. So I'll print band here as well. So what we last had was the removal here from base, the JPJ, and then it once again had our dictionary down to two key value pairs. So we'll see this twice afterwards as well. Save and run the code. Now let's look at what we get here. So we added Bonham, and then we print band, and that's what we should see here is a dictionary that has vocals, guitar, and drums, and the value for drums is Bonham. Then we used the pop item method, and so it removed what was last added, the full key value pair, and it returns it as a tuple, and that's what we see here. So then when we finally printed band here the last time, our dictionary is once again back to just vocals and guitar. Now this deals with removing items from a dictionary. What if we want to delete or clear items? So once again, a comment here, and I'll put delete and clear. And then if we want to delete an item, first I need to add that item again. Let me just copy this from above here on line 41. We're going to add key value pair of drums and bonum back to our band. And then after that, let's go ahead and delete with the keyword del, and I'll say band and say drums. And you can see Visual Studio Code wants to help me. It knows what's in the dictionary, so that's very useful. Don't always have to type that out. So now we're deleting that from the dictionary, and I can print band once again, so we will once again see that it has been removed. What we could do though, and remember we created another band up here at the top. We've also got band 2. So what we could do is empty out a dictionary completely by using band 2 as our dictionary and then saying clear, the clear method. And then I'll print band 2, which should be an empty dictionary. So we should just see the curly braces. And after that, I'm going to delete band 2, delete the entire dictionary. And we do that with the delete keyword also, but we don't specify any specific key. We just name the dictionary and it completely deletes it. So I can save and run this, and we won't see everything that we just had there. We'll see the print once again of the band dictionary after it just has vocals and guitar. We'll also, I guess it's this line right here, we'll also see the empty band 2 dictionary, and that's why we just see the curly braces. There is no output after we delete the band 2 dictionary. It has just been deleted from our application. Now let's scroll up and talk about copying dictionaries. So here I'm going to leave a comment and say copy dictionaries. After this, I need to talk about the way not to copy dictionaries first. So let's say band 2, I'm going to create a new band 2 because I just deleted it above. If I set this equal to band, that doesn't really create a copy. It creates a reference. And so I want to put this here, creates a reference. And what that means is they're both referring to the same place in memory for the same dictionary. So after you create band 2 and you add or remove something to it, it's going to also add or remove the same thing to band. So this is why we don't want to do this, because they actually refer to the same thing. View it as a place, a storage place, and both of these variable names are referring to the same thing. So what I'm going to do here is say print, and I'm going to say bad copy, because you really don't want to do this. And I'll give the example of what it actually does. So here I'm going to say print band 2, and then I'm going to use Shift Alt and the down arrow, and we'll also print band. But after we do that, let's go ahead, come down an extra line and say band 2, and then we'll put in drums. So we'll add drums to band 2. And I'll set drums equal to Dave this time. After we do that, let's just print band once again, because we didn't do anything to band, right? So you wouldn't expect it to change. Let's go ahead and run the code and see what we get. So we can see band 2 is the first one we print right after it says bad copy, and then band 1, and they look the same. But then we add drums to band 2 with the value of Dave, but we just print band. Well, that last print of band already has drums and Dave in it. So this is what you do not want to do. So I'm going to comment these things out. I'll just highlight all of those and press Control and the slash, and it will add comments to all of those lines. But I did want to show you that because that's not the way you want to create a copy. So how do you want to create a copy? Well, let's go ahead and say band2 equals band.copy, and we can call that copy method. And now they will not have the same reference. So I can say band2. As a matter of fact, I can just copy these lines, Control C, speaking of copy, and then we'll go ahead and paste them in with Control V, and then I'll print band here. And after that, I might as well print band 2 as well, so you can see that they're different. So we're just adding drums to band 2 again after we use the copy method. Now let's run this code. And what happens is we have band here, the first one, and then we have band 2 on the next line, and only band 2 has drums with the value of Dave. but both were printed after we added drums to band 2. So to be consistent, I guess I should add the line here, good copy. And I'll leave the commented lines inside of the course code as well. So if you're getting this course from GitHub at the course resources link, you'll be able to see this. This is what you do not want to do. And that's why I said bad copy. This is what we want here with good copy. Now there is another way to make a copy, and that is using the constructor function. So let me comment that as well. I'll put or use the dictionary constructor function. So we can make a copy this way also. So I'll say band 3 equals, then I'll use the constructor function and I'll pass in band. So this makes a copy that is not a reference as well. So I'm going to print good copy here as well. And after that, I'll print band 3 and we'll go ahead and run the code again. And you can see we didn't add anything to band 3, but you can see it made a copy, and this is a good copy. So that's another way to do it. Okay, one more thing to discuss about dictionaries, and it can seem a little complicated when you first learn about it, but I think you'll get the hang of it after you experiment with it a little bit, and that is nested dictionaries. This means that the value for a key value pair can be another dictionary. So let's look at this, and I'll create a dictionary called member1, and I'll set this equal to, of course, curly braces, then I'll have name, and let's say plant here, and then I'll have instrument, and here I'll put vocals. Now I'm going to just highlight all of this and do Shift Alt and the down arrow. I'll turn this into member2, so a second dictionary. Here I'll make this name page, and I'll make this instrument guitar. Okay, now let's create a third dictionary, and let's call this band. And in this dictionary, we'll have a key called member1, and we'll put member1, the dictionary we created above, as the value. And let's do the same here, member2, and let's put member2, the dictionary we created above, as the value. So you can see band is going to have nested dictionaries here. So member1 is the key, but the value will be a dictionary. So let's go ahead and print this. See what it looks like inside of our terminal when we run the code. So here's our dictionary band, and well, I started one line ahead. There we go. Here is our dictionary band. It's got member1 for a key, but the value is another dictionary. Member2 for a key, but the value is another dictionary. Now, if we want to get a specific value here, we have to go one level deeper. So we'll print, and then we would say band, and let's go ahead and use our brackets, and you can see VS Code wants to help us once again, so I'm going to say member1, and then from that, I'm going to use brackets again, and now it's not helping us so much. Notice we had name or instrument, and I don't see those readily available here, so I'm just going to type name because we want to get member1, so there we're going one level deep, and then we want to get name, so that's the second level deep. We'll save this and run the code, and you can see the output here is plant. That's because we were able to drill down into our nested dictionary to get that value by adding another bracket. And you need to do that every time you'd have a level. Could you have another level deeper and so on? Yes, you could. Okay, a final note on dictionaries before we move on to working with sets, and I'll scroll once again. I'll just type in band as our typical dictionary here. Remember in VS Code, you can use dot notation. So type a dot after your dictionary and all of the different methods will pop up. So you can experiment with these. We covered quite a few of these today, but not necessarily all of them. But VS Code will help you see what methods exist or a dictionary or a list or whatever data collection type you are using. Okay, now let's move on to sets. I'll just type sets here. Now, sets are the fourth and final data collection type that we are going to cover. So now let's look at creating a set. I'll say nums equals, I'm using curly braces again, but it's not a key value pair. I'm just going to say 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is creating a set. We can also create a set with the constructor function. So I'll say nums2. I'll set this equal to set Now we have parentheses, but now we need double parentheses. And I'll say 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've created two different sets that way. I'll print nums, and then I'll go ahead and do Shift Alt and the down arrow, and I'll print nums2. I'll do this one more time. And inside of here, I'm going to say type nums. And finally, one more copy down with Shift Alt and the down arrow. And instead of type, I'm going to check the length, because we can do all of those things again with a set. So now when I run the code, we have got our first set we created. We've got our second set we created with the constructor function. We can see what data type we have, and we see the length. There are 4 elements in our set. Now scrolling up, we'll look at one of the top advantages of a set of data, and that is no duplicates are allowed. So I'll just type this here, no duplicates allowed. And then I'm going to say nums, once again, equals, and I'll create a set here, but it'll be a little different data than above. Notice I put in 2 number 2s. Okay, after this, I'll go ahead and print nums. What do you think we'll get for output once I put both of these in, but we know a set doesn't allow any duplicate? Let's take a look. I'll run the code, and the output is a set that does not have a duplicate at all. It didn't create an error because I put one in, it just ignored the duplicate. And that's what happens when you try to put something else in a set. So we should also note that a true value, true, is a dupe, I'll say, of 1. And false is a dupe of 0. Now I'm scrolling over, so I'm going to press Alt-Z so the code or the comment line wraps down to the next line. See how 111 is a little bit deeper here compared to the other lines. So it's all still one line, it's just wrapping down. Now I'm going to create a nums set once again, and inside of this set I'm going to say 1, true, 2, false, 3, 4, 0. So now let's think about what we might get returned, and we'll analyze this after we actually check our output here. So I'm going to print nums once again, and now nums has some duplicate data. Remember, 1 and true are considered to be duplicates, false and 0 are considered to be duplicates. Any guesses as to what will the output be? Let's take a look. And we get false 1, 2, 3, 4. So number 1 was in here first, and so it ignored the duplicate true. False was in here first, so it ignored the duplicate 0. Then notice it's in order also. So false comes before the numbers, which is also 0. So if we had 0, it would essentially be in order as well. Worth noting. But notice it did remove the duplicates when we were working with Boolean data, that true and false, because 1 is considered true usually in programming, and 0 is usually considered false as well. So those are considered duplicates in a set. You can also check if a value is in a set. And we can do that with the in keyword once again. So I'll say print 2 in nums. And if we run this code, we get back true. Yes, because 2 is in our nums set. We see it right here as well. So that is true. So you can check to see if any value is inside the set. But I'll put an extra note here. But you cannot refer to an element in the set within index position, as we had with lists, or a key, as we did with dictionaries. So you can't refer to any specific value based on a position like that, and there's also no key to refer to, but you can check to see if the value is in the set. Scrolling up again for room, let's talk about adding a new value to a set. So here we'll say add a new element to a set, and we can do that with nums.add, and then I'll just pass the number 8. And we'll print nums once again, and we'll check our set. So let's run the code, and now here's our set once again, but it also has the number 8 in there. After that, you can add, I guess I need a space between these. Let me put a little extra line there. You can add elements from one set to another. And to do that, let me create another set just called more nums. Set this equal to a set that has 5, 6, and 7 in there. Then after we do that, say nums, our original set, dot update, and then we'll pass in more nums. And I'm not sure why I put a space there. We don't need that space. And remember, see that error there? Spaces and tabs or indents are important in Python. So an extra space like that could cause problems. But here we are using the update method for nums, and we're passing in the more nums set as well. So we're adding elements from more nums to the nums set. So we'll print out nums, run our code, and you can see now our nums set also has 5, 6, and 7 added to it. I'll add an extra comment here as well underneath, and this comment is you can use update with lists, tuples, and dictionaries too. And what I mean by that is you don't have to pass in another set here. You could pass in a list to update, or a tuple, or a dictionary as well. Update will still work. Now with update, we took all the values inside of the more nums set and we added them to the nums set. But what if we want to merge two different sets and then create a new set from those two? So let me comment that here. Merge two sets to create a new set. And now I'll have to create the sets first. I'll say 1, and let me put this equal to a set that has 1, 2, 3. And then let me create another one, and I'll just copy down here. I'll rename this 2, but I want to change the values also. I don't want duplicates right now. So it's 5, 6, and 7. And after we've created both of those, let's say my new set is going to equal 1, and then I'm going to use the union method, and I'm going to pass in 2. So here we're merging these 1 and 2 to create a new set. So I want to print my new set, and we should see the merger of those two, but that didn't change the original set 1 or the original set 2. Let's look at a couple of more useful methods when we're working with two sets. So I'm going to copy lines 131 through 133 with Control C, and I'll just paste here below again. But instead of merging two sets to create a new set, here we're going to keep only the duplicates from the two different sets. Now right now I don't have any duplicates, so let me change the values here in 2 so we have some overlap. So 2 and 3 would be duplicates in both of these sets now. And now that I've done that, we'll say 1 dot intersection update, and here we'll pass in 2. Now let's print 1. This didn't create a new set, so what happens is it actually changes the first set here that we call intersection update on, 1, to only include duplicates. So we should expect to get a set that only has 2 and 3 back. So when we run our code, that's what we've got here is 2 and 3. Now kind of the opposite of that, so I'm going to go ahead and copy this down again, 3 lines that start everything. And instead of keeping only the duplicates, we're going to keep everything except the duplicates. So here's 1 and 2 as well. So 2 and 3, the numbers 2 and 3 are the duplicates, so we're not going to keep those. So now we're going to expect to return a set that has 1 and 4 only. We're going to do that with a different method. Here's 1, and then it's called symmetric difference update. Here we'll pass in the second set. Notice it's still happening or being applied to the first set that we call the method on as well. So we're going to print 1. I'll save that, and we run our code, and you can see the set that we get here is the output just contains 1 and 4. So it was the opposite of the intersection update. So that just about covers it for sets. Once again, a reminder that you can use your set and then use dot notation to pull up all the different available methods. And there's some here that we didn't cover today, so you could experiment with these as well and look those up in the documentation. Of course, is linked in the course resources. Remember to keep striving for progress over perfection, and a little progress every day will go a very long way. Please give this video a like if it's helped you, and thank you for watching and subscribing. You're helping my channel grow. Have a great day, and let's write more code together very soon.